Welcome to the Real Estate Profiting Podcast with Tabar's Dobbs.
They said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Go. Okay, let's get it.
I'm here today with Mr. Andre Shepard. This gentleman has over 30 years of real estate experience, both as an operator and now in his current capacity, regional market representative for a non-bank lender that are doing about $50 million a month in real estate finance. So, Andre, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Tell the real estate property community who you are.
Andre Shepard, you and I actually met at Morehouse.
Absolutely.
My diploma says real estate, so I am lifelong real estate. Grandparents and parents, both in real estate. As a carpenter, developer, I've built properties, I've rehabbed properties, I've managed funds for pension funds, etc. And now currently I'm a regional market rep for a non-bank lender. We lend across the country.
So y'all doing about $50 million a month. So y'all know something about real estate finance.
We know something about access to capital in the secondary market.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
So when I asked you, to come on and, do this podcast with me, I asked you, what are some of the current events that are going on in the industry right now that we could kind of have a conversation around?
So some of the biggest trends are around the build-to-rent market right now. That has actually become a new asset class for a lot of institutions.
Gotcha. Now, I totally understand. For those that may not be familiar with build to rent, kind of tell the audience exactly what the build to rent market is, because it didn't really always exist, at least not in the way that it does today.
That's right.
And who started it and why?
Most rental properties are owned by individuals, small mom and pop shops. They normally own either 1 or 12 properties. That's kind of the scope of what you would see with most real estate investors that own rental properties.
Okay.
Now, with the new asset class, and when you say asset class, what does that mean? So just like retail strip centers, multifamily, office is an asset class, build to rent has become an asset class. And so what they've done with that is they've taken single family real estate developments and made them to where they can use them as collateral in order to do larger bond deals, etc. So if you think of an apartment complex,
okay,
you normally think of either like a suburban apartment complex where there's like 100 or 200 units on a property, maybe stacked, or you've got an apartment tower that's stacked, 50 units to 200 units. Think about this as a single family development, but 100 to 200 units that's spread out horizontally, but is producing cash flows overall because it's controlled by one owner, similar to an apartment complex.
Makes all the sense in the world now that it is a thing.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Interesting.
Because you can tap into the existing infrastructure in certain markets without having to have the hyper density required. So if you don't have the zoning in place, if you don't have the density requirements in place for these types of multifamily stacked flats, you've got a lot in America. We've got a lot of open, sprawling land. And so it gives these institutions an opportunity to tap into those markets and provide housing for the population without having to go through zoning in order to get higher density and things of that nature.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. What are some of the other trends you're seeing in your day-to-day operation?
So the other thing that I've noticed is that housing supply shortage, and that's part of why the build to rent is a success, and some people say is also a reason why there is a housing shortage. It's kind of like a chicken and the egg type of thing, is because they're building these properties now and putting these properties out to investors instead of to homeowners. So you're going out to these outskirts where you can do these developments, and where the affordable properties are, these institutions are now holding them. I think about 138,000 of them were done last year, individual units. The institutions are now holding them for rent and then collateralizing it like Invitation Homes. You can buy into it as a REIT. so these investors are kind of holding it, but that is creating a housing shortage. That coupled with the fact that we're coming off of a very unique time period where interest rates on household mortgages, like forward-facing mortgages, last year were like 2.5%, 3%.
Right.
So now that rates are up to 5.5%, 6%, 6.5%, people don't want to sell because they don't want to get rid of their 2%, 3% mortgage, and there's no other stock being built to deal with the growing demographic in that, next generation of buyers.
Exactly. So that's a lot of what we're seeing in the news right now as well. It's kind of what's also, putting pressure on the housing prices.
That's right.
Gotcha.
That's exactly right. That's
Gotcha.
Exactly right.
Any other trends that you may have seen or noticed in the marketplace?
A lot of my clients are building houses, but they're having a hard time holding some of them because as soon as they get them ready for to transition, so we do the short-term financing to build the houses, and then we transition that into a longer-term, either bridge or 30-year mortgage, so that they can hold them, like with the DSCR loan, and then they hold them, stabilize the entire community, package the community, and then sell it off to one of these institutions. They're having a hard time doing that in some cases, one, because they need the cash flow, and then two, because the demand is so high. Because when you build these homes in these affordable price points, the agents are bringing their clients and making offers on these properties that are targeted towards these institutions, but are, also giving an opportunity to tap into that capital gain that I talked about.
Wow, so that's happening too.
Yeah.
Interesting. What would you say to, smaller investors? Like, how can they participate in this market, in this current market, the way it is today?
So you've got to find opportunities where you can create arbitrage.
Okay.
So,
and when you say arbitrage, what do you mean by that?
Where you can get something at a price where the market sees it at this value, but in another lens, another focus, it's at a higher value. So you take the same thing, but because you repurpose it, it becomes a higher value item. So the opportunity in real estate in that scenario is finding infill lots that have excess property, finding properties that the zoning will allow you to add ADU, and then obviously, distress sales are always there because we've got an aging demographic, and so that's going to be a boom that's coming. Just like, for a while, back in 2008, 2009, when everything fell apart, I sold insurance for a while.
Okay.
And so one of the things that they were always preaching to us then was that the aging population was coming apart. Mm-hmm. And so there were, I think it was 10,000 people a day were turning the age of 65, which created this big market for Medicare, Medicaid, and all this other stuff. And so that same thing now is happening in the housing market. You've got people who are aging out of their properties, and they're tapped into all of this equity, but they've got these expenses, these end-of-life expenses that are coming up, retirement, healthcare issues, and they don't really know how to address those issues and keep their property, or sell their property and then get a place that's affordable that will allow them to care for those issues and still have money and income. So finding a solution for that with that population, because all 10,000 obviously aren't homeowners, but a percentage of them are, 5%, 6% of them are. And so if you can just imagine, having 500, 250 to 500 houses on a daily or monthly basis that are coming with that type of issue, that is an opportunity for a young investor.
Gotcha. It sounds like you guys heard that, right? Okay. So that's something you can definitely take advantage of. We hear in the news, right? It's all over the news, all over the country, that housing affordability is a huge problem. Share with the audience where the opportunity is to, really provide a product, for this marketplace in the affordable housing market.
Yeah, I think that there's a huge opportunity for it. People always quote, I grew up in LA, in California. And so, I grew up in that 50-year range of hip hop.
Okay.
And so there's an artist called Too Short.
I think, we probably heard of that, right?
Yeah,
we probably heard of Too Short.
Too Short got this line that says, "You better buy you some."
Okay,
And so
okay.
that is what I would tell young investors is that, you better buy you some. I understand the platforms, so far as, sharing resources and things of that nature. They are income producing, but they're income producing for the platform owners. You gotta also create some equity for yourself. And so my recommendation would be drop your bucket where you are and start where you are. Find the least expensive opportunity that you can find, be it a condo, be it an underserved market. Figure out how to partner, syndicate, do a deal where you can get into a transaction, get some experience in doing those, and then kind of work through. And then one other thing I would say, and I know that you and I differ on this, but I think for young people especially, it's important that they get a partner. And what I think of as a partner, they may not see as a partner, but I think it works. If you can get someone to pay your medical expenses, dental and health, pay your light bill, pay your rent every day, and you gotta, commit 8 hours a day to do that, and then you got the other 16 hours to sleep and to work on the real estate projects that they've just covered all of your basic expenses for, that's gonna give you a leg up. And so what is that? That's getting a job.
Yeah, and we don't differ on that at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
no.
right. Okay.
Jobs are good.
Jobs are good.
They make the economy work.
That's right. So if you get a job, it gives you those basic expenses covered. Now you just have to be smarter with your time allocation and not go into, well, I'm gonna play, whatever the video game is today or hang out with my friends. No, that other 16 hours you gotta allocate towards building your equity in something. But you gotta give your 8 hours to your partner, and then you gotta go out and do 8 hours for yourself, and then you gotta go home and go to sleep so you can do it again, because that's a 16-hour day.
Makes sense.
And even at 20 years old, a 16-hour day is a 16-hour day.
Absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. No, I absolutely agree with that. Ideal. And what Andre is speaking of more specifically, real estate is a very sexy thing, right? I'm a real estate investor. It's a kind of a sexy thing to do and be, and to say, right? And a lot of people, the first thing they want to do is quit their job, right? They want to quit their job and invest in real estate. That's good and wonderful. But what Andre is suggesting, and when he said you have a partner, basically your job is essentially your partner, right? Like it's providing you a stable income to take care of your necessary expenses, as well as now some extra capital to actually deploy into real estate investing. Okay, so that's what Andre is talking about, and I absolutely agree with that.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. The goal, mission, idea, vision, dream, everything about real estate profiting is one, we're building the best real estate investing education company on the planet.
Right.
Our motto is very simple. We help investors succeed.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna just, pull from you because it's time to educate the people. Okay. So let's talk about real estate finance.
Well,
there are a lot of people.
I got to say this about you.
Okay.
That they probably don't know.
Okay.
Growing up, again, just kind of in my environment, everybody tries to sell something. You're always giving. And so, you're not saying, hey, Andre's got 30 years, come and check him out, and blah, blah, blah. I just love that about you, bro. I had to say that.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. I really appreciate that. Back during the Great Recession.
Yeah.
When everything just went crazy.
Yeah.
Of course, I studied real estate at Morehouse with you.
That's right.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Right.
Okay. And I was like, I wasn't prepared for that. Hundreds of thousands of other investors weren't prepared for it as well.
True.
And during that time, I did some other things myself.
Right. That's right.
To make sure the light stayed on at home and food stayed on the table.
Hey, one thing we know, we are providers.
Absolutely.
And we will provide.
For
yes.
sure.
Yes.
But one thing that I told myself when the market turns around and I get back involved in the market, I'm gonna create a real estate investing education company. And really, that was the genesis of real estate profiting.
Yes.
You're a part of it now, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about real estate finance, and let's educate people on real estate finance and how to get real estate finance. So let's say there's someone right now that's listening to this or watching this. Maybe they're watching this on YouTube. Maybe they're listening to this on Spotify, the podcast, and they want to start real estate investing. They haven't did their first deal yet.
Okay.
The obvious thing with real estate is, okay, how am I going to pay for this? Like, how am I going to finance this? Like, what would you tell that individual?
So I would give my experience first, and then I'll give you some guidelines in my current role.
Excellent.
So in my experience, my partner and I, when I graduated from Morehouse, he came with the cash. I then went out and found a hard money lender and partnered that cash with the hard money lender because I didn't have any credit and I didn't have any cash. I found a partner. I think he put up $7,000, and the hard money lender lent us, a 65% LTV loan. I think it was like at 18% and 10 points. It was crazy, but we did it. We made the deal work.
Did y'all hear that? 18%. Okay, go ahead.
And 10 points.
So these rates today are a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cakewalk.
Keep going. Sorry about that.
Okay. So that was my experience. That's how I got started. That's how I did my first deal. Today, there's a lot of different platforms available. You've got, all of these platforms where you can get personal loans and things of that nature if you've got good credit, which is risky. And I don't necessarily think that that's the first step that you should do, but that may be a second step to provide some liquidity so that you can carry the project. Number two, you got to build out your network. You got to go in, you got to find somebody that you have like mind with that has done what you have not done, which is raise some capital, either through their savings, through their partner, their job. They put together, some resources. And then you've got to find a local hard money lender in order to get your first deal done. Because more than likely, unless you have a 660 credit score and you've got access to a deal, you're not going to be able to come to a lender like us and get a deal done because you're just not going to meet the guideline requirements. Now, if you are in that tier, you have a 660 credit score, you've identified your property, you've got some liquidity already built up, then it's just a simple matter of structuring the deal. 85% loan to cost, 70% LTV, 75% LTV. It's a real simple conversation. We'll just kind of, go through and set it up. So if anybody comes to you and they meet those qualifications, we'll be glad to take them through that process.
Excellent. So I just want to recap this for everyone. If you do not have the cash, there are a lot of people that with cash. Go to them, ask them if they were interested in partnering with you, okay? Then finding a local lender, right?
That's right.
Or a national lender for that matter, okay? Or get in contact with Andre, okay? And he's gonna share this information with you, so how you guys can get in contact with them. Partner with someone else that already has experience, that's already actually doing deals.
That's right.
Excellent.
And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that it sounds like you're putting the cart before the horse, but if you find the deal, it's easier to find the money.
Gotcha. So in other words, focus on finding a great deal.
Focus on finding a great deal. Spend your time, after you're done with your 8 hours of work, spend your time figuring out how you can find a great deal.
Excellent. Now, is this for an existing house, or is this for let's say someone wanted to buy a lot and build a new house?
So I'm a proponent of both.
Okay.
But financing for a new house, for a new construction loan, is going to be much more difficult and almost impossible with hard money because there's no as-is valuation to work off of, and it's going to require so much capital. It's possible, I've done it, but it's very difficult to do, and I don't think a brand new person to the deal, which is what we're discussing here, is going to be able to pull that off. So either find something in distress,
okay,
find something in transition, one of those 10,000 plus people that are turning 65, 75, and they're trying to transition out of their current property and figure out how they can live the rest of their life and cover the rest of their experiences without it, or find something that is in disrepair and has been abandoned and go through. And yes, you're gonna have to look at 100 houses to find one, but that is why you will make an extraordinary amount on the game, is because you found the 1 in 100 that everybody else is looking for out there too. Think about it. If let's assume that you can get it done, your first deal, in 120 days. After all expenses, very minimum, you should be looking to make at least $15,000 to $20,000 at the very minimum. If you were working your full-time job, assuming to make that same type of gross income, you would have to put in a full 40-hour week for 3 months. So why would you think that it would be simple for you to just go out here and find a property and make money in 2 hours? I think that people's perceptions are off.
Gotcha. Great advice. Maybe they want to start scaling up and start doing more deals, more transactions. How would they go about getting financing to do that?
That's simple. Just make sure that you got the 660 credit score. Find a national lender. We are a national lender that can go with you into different markets and build your liquidity. And so the liquidity portion of it may come in your team. So at this point, and you need to speak to an attorney about this, on how you can get people to be contributing members to your entity, where they contribute liquidity so that you can build up enough reserves in order to do more projects, or be very diligent in taking those capital gains that you bring in and saving them over the long period. And I know you and I have often discussed, where to put savings as it kind of goes. I like REITs right now. So, I'm doing some REITs and some ETFs. And so you can build those up, save those in those accounts, and then come back in. And as you build that reserve, you'll be able to scale and do more projects.
Excellent. How about apartments? If someone is looking to finance some apartment deals, how would they go about doing that?
Apartment deals in this market are a little tough because the rates have crept up, and the only real exit for a major apartment deal, meaning more than 12 units, is an agency loan, like a Fannie Freddie loan. And so now you do have some HUD opportunities that are available as well, but those are even a little more difficult to underwrite. And so if you're really looking to get into the apartment investment business, you're going to have to get enough capital together, which means that you'll probably have to be part of a syndication, or work for an investment group that has the liquidity in order to go. Okay. Because your leverage is going to be lower in this environment. You're probably going to, unless you use like HUD financing, you're going to be limited to 65, 70%. And so if you're doing a $5 million deal, that's 1.5 million in liquidity that's going to be required, and then being able to structure that deal accordingly is going to be a little more difficult too. So I would say that if they're really interested in that, my advice would be to partner with someone who has done it and has done it well for a number of years. I wouldn't just jump into a popular group because as we're seeing in a lot of the current events right now that the rates have risen, we're seeing who's naked. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who are naked, you know what I mean? Gotcha. And so they're having a hard time, making deals work, because what they fail to understand is that what the market we were in was a low rate and appreciating market. We're now in a high rate, stagnant market. And what that is doing is that is starting to draw down your ability, because you can solve all evils if you've got low rates and the market is appreciating. it's very easy to fix the deal. You just say, okay, I'll put another 5,000 in, it'll work out. Oh, I can buy this apartment building, do some improvements to the apartment, raise the rents by 2%, go back and refinance it out, pay off all of my investors, and everybody's good. But no, that doesn't work, because if you raise the rents by 5%, and if interest rates have crept up by 200 basis points over the past 90 days, that 5% increase leaves you at stagnant, which means that when you get ready to go and refinance, your LTV doesn't allow you to pay out your investors anymore. And so, these are all things and calculations that, it's an easy calculation. It's a present value calculation, future valuation calculation, mortgage amortization, projection calculation. But if you've never been in an environment where you had to do those calculations and you're now in it now, guess what? The pain is coming, baby.
I get you.
The pain is coming.
I hear you. Yeah, I know a lot of apartment units, they're now, coming up for, their loans are coming due,
That's
right?
exactly right.
And a rate raising environment.
That's right.
So the tide is definitely going out.
That's right. That's exactly right.
For
And
sure.
so they're gonna have to be repriced to the market. But again, that is a game that requires a lot of liquidity.
Yeah.
And so you got to start stacking your war chest if you really want to get in that business. If you want to get in that business, you better start, shoveling it in and bringing in the money heavy, and dotting all your I's, getting all your legal together, because it's a serious game. That's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So look, we're gonna get ready to wrap up, and I appreciate all that you shared with the real estate property community. Let me ask you this: knowing what you know,
Yes.
okay, knowing what you know, what would you be doing today? Like, what would you do, given all the different real estate investing strategies out here? And feel free to, if it's something that we haven't even spoke about, just whatever it is that you would do as someone getting started in real estate, knowing what you know now, and you're getting started today, what would you do?
I'd get the highest paying position I possibly could, whether it's, Walmart clerk or director of finance at a non-bank lender, whatever the highest paying position is that I could do. And I would take all of my time and I would find the cheapest house in the best neighborhood that is available. I'd get financing to purchase that property. I'd repair it and add value to it.
Okay.
And I'd repeat that process until I had my first $100,000. And then from there, I'd be looking for more opportunities to either partner or build houses to hold the appreciation and ride the appreciation wave as America continues to grow.
Excellent. You guys heard it, right? You guys know what to do now, right? Awesome. Andre,
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. So look, obviously we all need financing. How can people get in contact with you to get their deals financed?
A Shepard on LinkedIn. That's A Shepard, Shepard on LinkedIn. And I always tell people it's the Good Shepherd. So A Shepard on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Again, man, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys have enjoyed this incredibly insightful conversation I've just had with Andre Shepard, Real Estate Property. Let's go.
They said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, I've been winning. Go. Okay, let's get it.